Be ready. 10 seconds to go. Start. Today, we cannot do without hydrocarbons. For 70% of our consumption of hydrocarbons today, we are dependent on imported supplies. I hope this prosperity prevails in the West Asia. But who can ignore all the uncertainty, leave aside other uncertainty? We are witnessing this year the uncertainty, instability, and unpredictability of the oil prices. They have tripled in the last 5 or 6 months. So, we must therefore explore other options. The resolution which led to the establishment of our Atomic Energy Commission and our country will be eternally grateful to Prime Minister for having the vision to recognize the role of science and technology, particularly atomic energy, in managing the future needs of our country, led the greatest emphasis on the use of atomic power for generation of electricity. If we want energy security, we have to rely more on nuclear energy. All over the world, nations like Japan and France, which are short of raw material, rely heavily on nuclear energy. I do believe that while we must develop coal, we must develop hydropower, we must develop renewable sources of energy to widen our development options for the future, and we must have an equal access to commercial energy which is environment friendly. The NPT exists, but we all know, for example, the loopholes that exist and how, despite the NPT, proliferation has taken place in our own neighborhood. I could not, in the present stage, ask President Bush or the US government that they should remove all restrictions on trade in nuclear assets. They said that there is such a thing as civilian and there is such a thing as military. We are willing to help you to augment your energy resources for use of your development, but military purposes are in other kettle of fish. I had to reckon with that reality, and therefore I had to evolve our approach, taking into account the realities of the world order. And the world order being whatever it is, I was clear in my mind that we shall do nothing which will in any way compromise our independence with regard to the management of security. And despite the doubts that had been sought to be cast, I assure this House that I am satisfied that those doubts are not based on facts. It is true that what the US President has stated will require congressional assent. I attach great importance to that aspect of my work in Washington. When I was in Washington, three of our top meteorological scientists came to me and said India's meteorological system require a sea change if we are to take advantage of what is happening on the frontiers of relevant scientific subjects. This is not only in meteorological matters that we need upgradation of our skills, but our scientists have done very well. We are proud of their achievements, but human knowledge is increasing at a pace which was unthinkable even 10 years ago. Therefore, we need increased contacts between the academic institutions, the research institutions, between the scientists of our two countries. And fortunately, there are today in all major US research centers, whether you go to the IBM laboratory or you go to the university, bright young Indians are operating on the frontiers of the knowledge. I think this is the brain reservoir we must tap. And during this visit, it was my effort to tap that potential reservoir for our country, and that is an aspect which I would like to emphasize. We have reached an agreement, a framework agreement on science and technology development in frontier areas. The United States now recognizes India as a space leader. I hope possibilities of cooperation will occur which will do us credit. This was yet another aspect of my work, and what we achieved is mentioned in the joint statement. But I was always conscious of the fact that if India is going to become a major growth pole of the evolving world economy, if we have to achieve every year 8 to 10% growth rate, we would require the growth of commercial energy in our country at least at the same rate as our GDP growth. In fact, in our country, the demand for commercial energy is going to increase at a much faster pace. Why do I say this? Because in our country, two revolutions are taking place simultaneously at one go under the impact of modernization. The subsistence rural economy is shrinking. Therefore, old traditional ways of meeting energy, firewood, household fuels, they are giving place to the increasing demand even in the rural sector for modern commercial energy. And secondly, as we grow, as we industrialize, as we urbanize, there is that increase in demand for commercial energy. Therefore, India's energy security, along with the security of our water resources and security of our food, I think is a critical determinant of what happens to the economy in the next 25 years, and we have to work in that direction. Stop